In a world filled with challenges and opportunities, it's not just about having big dreams, it's about having the right approach to turn those dreams into reality. Whether you're navigating the competitive landscape of business or seeking personal growth, it's all about the approach.
And welcome everybody to our latest episode of The Approach. I'm your host, Dr. Davis McAllister, and we call this the show The Approach because when I worked in military intelligence, our success and failure depended on taking the right approach. On this show, we discuss aspects of leadership and problem solving and the approaches that have made our guests successful. My guest today is Milan Milosevic. He is co-founder of Riches and Beyond, a leading property education company in South Africa, founder of Million Speakers, host of Riches and Beyond and a Million Speakers podcast, editor in chief of Million Speakers magazine, an international speaker, entrepreneur, speakers coach, mentor, and a best-selling author, and then most recently, an actor and a stuntman. And Milan left his country, Serbia, in 2005 as a college dropout, being broke and could barely speak English. And over time, he learned from the top property investors and speakers, got himself different mentors, and started learning about property and business. After seeing massive success in the property investment business, Milan co-founded Riches and Beyond, now a leading South African education company with over 50,000 students. Riches and Beyond has partnered up with top residential and commercial developers in South Africa and created a powerful program that transformed the lives of aspiring and seasoned property investors. Millen is also the founder of Million Speakers program, which teaches how to build a business to 7 to 8 figures with your story and speaking. Being an international speaker for the last 15 years and having done over 1,000 live presentations, as well as hundreds of webinars, he has learned from the greats like Robert Kiyosaki, Les Brown, Lisa Nichols, Jim Francis, Bob Proctor, and Michael Bakewith, and has spoken internationally in the US, UK, Dubai, and South Africa. Featured in Your Business Magazine, Entrepreneur Magazine, Powerhouse Speakers, and other business podcasts. He is also the author of 9 books and the Amazon best-selling author of Cracking the Rich Code, which was endorsed by Tony Robbins, by the way. Millen trains politicians, CEOs, executives, and aspiring speakers to become powerful leaders who inspire others with the power of their speaking and story while building a business to 7 to 8 figures. And he has been quoted as saying, the true secret in business is in transforming lives, building relationships, and providing enormous value. And without further ado, let's welcome to the stage Milan Milosevic.
Thanks so much, Dr. Davis, for that lovely intro. So great to be here.
I'm certain we've got a lot to unpack. You've got quite the resume, and the accolades are just absolutely astounding. I'm very appreciative of you taking the time to be able to come on and share and visit with us. I know you've got a really busy schedule, so
Thank you. Maybe somebody might find some value in it and really get themselves moving in the right direction, hopefully today.
so I read your bio and all the information that you have provided and your background.
Most people know me as the founder of this big company, 7 and 8 figure businesses. We have over 50,000 students in property space. We changed so many lives. And people say, Milan, you made it. You live in a big house, drive a sports car. But what not many people know about me is that 2005, I was a college dropout who could barely speak English. I dropped out of college twice, and my dad gave me a choice. Says, Milan, either you go to school or get a job because you're not going to stay in my house doing nothing.
Yeah.
So I started looking for different options and got a job offer to go to America, work on a cruise ship, which I took. And standing at the airport with my dad said to me, Milan, you can't even speak English. They're going to send you back home tomorrow. What are the odds you're going to succeed? And let's go back home, get that old job back. And I said, Dad, I can do that, but I won't be happy. I was not happy for years now. However, if I give my best, let's see what's going to happen. What if I go there and succeed and find my way? What if I come back home and then I made you proud? Would that be worth it? And my dad says, go there and try. You can always come back home. So I took that leap of faith, ended up working cruise ship for years, then learned the language, funny accent. I worked with so many different nationalities. But interesting enough, for me, it was always about the growth.
Mhm.
I always wanted to be better, bigger, stronger. Yes, but who do I need to become on that process, right? Every time when there's opportunity in front of me, I learn to take that opportunity and go with it. If I wanted to become better speaker or a better investor or leader, who do I need to really become that better version of myself? So everything that we're going to talk about today really is about that journey of me becoming better and taking more action and learning from people who were better and more successful than me at the time. That's how
Mhm.
ended up learning from people like Les Brown, Lisa Nichols, Tony Robbins endorsed my book. Eventually, I wrote 9 books, like you mentioned. And really is about, I ended up being an actor. I acted in 3 movies last year, this year again already. A couple of features are coming up. Why not, if you wanted to be that since you were a kid? Why not write a book? Why not run a business? Why not really become better instead of just staying there stuck in a job that you don't like and
Yeah.
being miserable? But you can do so much more, right?
No, yeah. That definitely embrace that idea because just the thought of just being in the same job and doing the same thing over and over again with j- to me is just monotonous. I get bored with that anyway. And so when you left and you went on this cruise ship, tell us, what did you do on the cruise ship? I've been on a couple cruises and I've always wondered about the backgrounds because there's always so many different people from different countries that are help working on those cruise ships. And so
Mhm.
tell us how that kind of led to where you are.
Yes, the good question. I just wanted to get out of it, get out of my country. And the simplest way to get in was in the gift shop because I have a sales experience at that point of time. I was working in a shoe store back home. And that was a simple transition, but it's a whole different story. It's about, hey, what are your skills? We got to teach you how we sell. It's a different mentality, different people. Now you're dealing with Americans, they're a bit different than Serbians. You got to smile more. So I got to be more approachable. And it was a process. I loved it. I love every single moment of it in the gift shop. It's a bit bigger, like retail stores on the cruise ship since you've been there. But then I met a couple of people there who were working at different jobs that looked easy to me. They're just standing there presenting. Oh, this sounds and look easy. But then when you start doing it, then you realize it's not as easy as it looks. But I was really intrigued. Can I do the same thing like them? So there was people who were doing art auctioneering, selling artwork. There was people who were selling future cruises. Can I do it? The first question was, do you have public speaking experiences? Like, what are you talking about? I can barely speak English, but I was willing to learn. And then I was
Mhm.
pushing it within the gift shop to do different seminars and presentations. I was started as a liquor guy selling all the alcohol there on the ship, which is tax and duty free. But then also they gave me an opportunity to present talking about tequila. And it was a good experience. And eventually I met my now ex-wife, but at that time she was a bit higher rank than me. She was doing future cruises. And then we decided to do something together, which
Mhm.
was doing art auctioneering. They were taking couples. So we quit our positions and we become art auctioneers, assistants at the time. It was a good training where they
Mhm.
really drill you a lot. And then you're doing a lot of public speaking and presenting. About year, 2 years later, that was me with a bad accent selling Picassos and Dalis from the stage. And it was fun. But people were liking it. And I love the idea as well. But the funny story is we didn't really make much money because you have to be really good at it.
Yeah.
And then somehow we ended up selling future cruises, which was the position that I ended up my career of. Totally, I was working about 10 years total. And then eventually when we retire, went back to South Africa where my ex-wife is from. And that's how all this journey started doing other things as well.
How long did it take you to get comfortable? Because you were having to learn English is one of the hardest languages for people to learn that are not native speakers. I was a linguist in the military and I had to learn several different languages. And that was one of the things we learned is that English because there's so many different dialects depending on what country you're from. And then you had the accents that go with it. And then those changes in what we call idiomatic expressions. How long did it take you to get comfortable to where you could actually get up and start speaking in front of people?
That's a funny question because I started from the point of I watched a lot of movies when I was a kid, and back
Yeah.
home they would do subtitles. So you're watching and then you're reading, right? And all of a sudden you understand English, but you never used it. So when
Mhm.
they asked me something, I knew exactly what they asked me, but just saying it was difficult. So the first month on the cruise ship, they put me on this promo table outside the shop with some British lady. Her name is Hannah. And she's there yelling, hey, everybody come here, try this liquor we have from South Africa. We have this Johnny Walker, whatever it is. I was like, wow, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? I'm introvert at that time and I
Mhm.
can't even speak English. There's no way that I can do this. But when you're thrown into the fire, you just do it. And it took me about 3 months to feel very comfortable speaking to people. All of a sudden, I felt like I was in the movie. I know when I landed in LA, my first cruise ship was Carnival Pride from LA
Mm.
Long Beach. I felt like I'm in the movie. But again, you feel like you need to prove yourself. You're not belonging, but you get to meet people. And literally 3 months later, I was very comfortable. And it was all about working on your accent and doing more of that. And at some point, you don't think about it. There's always something you're not able to pronounce properly. And then as the
Mhm.
cruise ship moves, I started in Long Beach. They speak differently in California, and then they send me to New York. Then they send me to Houston, Galveston, Texas. You're from Dallas, so whole different accents. Like wow! And then you learn to listen. It was a journey, but very rewarding because you can never know everything, but you can always grow into it and then pick up the personality types, which helped me later on through the sale process with all our other brands and businesses that we built. Yeah, loved it.
Started with learning to master the English language, but then you got into sales and then some speaking. Was there anything else during that 10-year period while you were working with cruises and auctioneering and all those things? Was there any other things that you felt like were really key that you learned that have helped you get where you are now?
We will always ask me, like, can I do the same thing like you did? So you can if you're willing to push yourself into it. Looks easy, but I've done more than 1,000 live events to date and hundreds of webinars. So it's all about the practice. I know what speaking did to me in sales, gave me
Mhm.
a lot of confidence, right? So that I can do anything. If you can be on a stage in front of 5,000 people, you can do anything. But then again, I'm totally different. I'm more quiet and
Yeah.
I'm learn to listen, interacting with people. Like I always say, build a relationship with people, then becomes so much easier to build a business, to sell anything. Sales added a lot of value to my life. You realize that everything is selling and presenting yourself. How do we sell? How do we promote? How do we present? Then becomes just another additional skill that I learned. So with this, what I learned over that period of time, you can literally do anything. Sales is
Mhm.
everything everywhere. You can learn the product and offer to anyone and become something that I would highly recommend to anyone to learn sales and then learn about speaking, not necessarily public speaking, but communicating the right way, more about benefits instead of features and all these trainings that helped me a lot. Because selling in the gift shop was way different than selling the artwork. I can tell you, hey, buy these paintings, it's $60,000. Like, what? 60,000? I can buy a car. Yeah, but there's story behind it, right? Then I realized it's not about the price, it's always about the value, right?
Mhm.
We will always pay extra for the great doctor like yourself, right? I'll pay extra for the service because I like you, I like your service instead of going somewhere else that might be cheaper, right? Less
Mhm.
expensive. I don't like the service. Let me pay where I want to be. So everything adds up, right? Everything was valuable experience. And it's always about who do I need to become and what kind of skill I need to learn to become better in speaking, selling, presenting, or whatever we do in life, anyways.
Yeah. So it's unique that you learned that there's variations of how to sell because most people just sales, they just think that, oh, it's just learning sales techniques. But there's some differences depending on what you're trying to sell. And I think one of the things too that you're highlighting on is that concept of allowing numbers to be able to throw you off. Some people have what they call a poverty mindset. They come from a poor background. Money was always an issue, or they grew up in a household that money was always a source of stress. And so people will develop this subconscious, basically an issue where money is concerned. And
Mhm.
given where your background, did you ever have to go through any of that as far as within yourself of trying to get comfortable with the numbers?
Yeah, there's a powerful saying of you become who you surround yourself with. So if
Mhm.
everybody around you making like $500, then that's all you know. And it's very difficult to absorb the information of I can make $1,000, I can make $10,000 until you meet someone who's actually making it and who shows you exact steps how to become better. Because I was exposed to people who were more successful than me. And I was curious, okay, if you're able to do it, can I do the same thing? You have to follow these paths. Okay, let me follow. And then the next step really is about, is that what you really want? Mindset is a big thing. We always like to say it's a limiting belief. If you believe that you're worthy only $500, then that's what you're going to be for the rest of your life. But if you believe, hey, I can actually make $10,000, $100,000, but I have to learn from people who are there where I want to be, then it's a whole different story. So when I started surrounding myself with people who are more successful than me, with millionaires, property investors, powerful speakers, 6, 7, 8-figure business owners, then hey, you know what? You've grown so much
Mhm.
and then your mindset develops into that direction. You realize that life is abundant, money is everywhere. You can sell anything to anyone if you have the right person in front of you. Then becomes really journey of self-discovery. Who Milan really is, what do I really want, where do I want to be next year, 5 years from now, and is that what I want for the rest of my life? It's a mindset. Starting with the mindset, we have to work on the mindset first. That resilience, that courage, and that willingness to be coachable and learn something different outside of that comfort zone to become something different. That's the only way.
Did you find it difficult? Because I've learned that same philosophy is if you want to elevate your life, elevate your circle and the people that you associate with and you're trying to learn from. Did you run into any of those issues where you're trying to surround yourself with those people, but they didn't want to let you in their circle?
That's a good question. But people that I surrounded myself with, they were willing to let me in. Fortunately, I was learning from the best. Okay, Milan, now you're going to become an art auctioneer. Everybody wants to be best, but if I'm learning from an average, it doesn't make sense. So fortunately, through these positions, I was always learning from the best in the industry. So eventually, I become one of the top future cruise consultants, leading the entire fleet because I learned from the people who were the top. And I was willing, I was looking who are the best. I don't want to learn from the average.
Yeah.
So when you reach out to such circle of people, then they open up their doors, but there's always a question, how can you really add value to our life? Okay. So eventually we started investing in property and then we're looking for the top property investors in the country. And there's a lot of circles that are open if you're willing to look for them. Most people don't even know where to look, right? Lisa Nichols, Les Brown, Tony Robbins. I want to write a book. I'm not just going to write the book, got to be a bestseller. Let me partner with top speakers who can endorse my book. Surrounding yourself with just people who are a little bit above you. Hey, I know this guy Milan. He's running these several businesses. You want to go into property, he can help you. Hey, Milan has a powerful team of people, 50,000 students. How about you ended up on his stage, promote your product? It's add-on value to everybody and then becomes so much easier. I always say, you know what, if you're looking for the right mentors, you will find them. Not every mentor is good for you, but find the one that resonates with you. If I'm a servant leader like yourself, we will find people who are willing to give that knowledge because they will recognize that you're willing to serve. They recognize that you can change lives, then becomes so much easier.
Yeah. I found even through posting this show, I've set a standard early on that I want people that are really high performers, that they're high achievers and have been able to achieve heights that most people look back and go, wow, I really wish I could get to that level. And then search of trying to find these people to be able to come on, and including great people like yourself and all that you've accomplished. But you have to learn how to take that onto the channel a little bit and say, okay, all right, I'm going to continue to work my way up. And I'm also very gracious for anybody that does allow me to be able to move up into their circle and be able to absorb that. From your standpoint, what makes an ideal mentor? Because people have this idea of what they think a mentor is supposed to be. And unfortunately, out there, there's a lot of people that they want to call themselves mentors, but it's really more of just a money transaction for some information, and that's about it. So, what would you define as a mentor?
Being a mentor myself, I realized that we normally judge our mentors based on the results, really. You are focusing on results, but you're not willing to do the work.
Yeah.
So I would say what I learned is the best mentors are the ones who went through rough time, people who have similar story to yours. So
Yeah.
like, how are you going to teach me how to overcome divorce if you never went through a divorce? We can talk about it, right? Like, how are you going to teach me that the wealth is good if you never been broke? If you were born wealthy, like, you do not know what I'm going through. That if I didn't have bread on it, if I slept on my friend's couch like I did back in the days for months. So
Yeah.
the best mentors, what I realize, are the ones who understand what you're going through, who went through the worst thing than you in some case scenario. And they'll be able to advise you, okay, Milan, I've been broke. Here's what I did to overcome that position, that situation, and this can help you as well. You are my person because you understand what I'm going through. So finding the one that resonates with you, like you said, there's many mentors, but everybody's promoting outcome. What I realize, if I'm sharing my story, if I open up myself to you, then I really want you to connect with me through my story, through my journey, and say, hey, Milan, your story resonates so much with my journey. I want you to mentor me because you understand what I'm going through. And that's the right connection. Then you know that I'm the right mentor for you. So if I say today, 2005, couldn't even speak English. Today, hey, you know what? I spoke in front of 5,000 people. I trained politicians, executive CEOs, how to become better speakers, leaders. Hey, I started with nothing, couldn't even speak English. Am I the right person for you? Perhaps you speak better English than me, but I'm not trying to be like you. I can only be the best Milan that I can be, but I can
Mhm.
show you what I've done to become better, to be on that stage in front of 5,000 people. You want to write a book? How did I get in touch with Tony Robbins and his team to endorse my book? My journey will show you the path. This might be possible for me. Hey, Milan was in the worst place than I am today. Maybe he can guide me to become better. So finding really the one that resonates with you, apart from success. Everybody's successful nowadays, but hey, connect with the person on a personal level. And then you have that relationship between mentor and a student, because even as a mentor, you're always a student, you're always learning. I have a mentor, my mentor has a mentor, right? So it's always about, I want to be comfortable with my mentor, open up myself, but eventually the right mentor will come at the right time. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Did you find that did you go through periods where you were impatient with the results?
It happens, I think, to all of us. We want quick results and you just do everything. And then, funny enough, I learned that patience really is a virtue. You have to sit down and you have to evaluate yourself once in a while, 6 months, 12 months. Is this what I really want to do? Why is this not happening? We can talk about perseverance and pushing through, but maybe this is not meant for you to be done at this point of time. Maybe you need to really sit down and just do nothing and really think about, maybe you're growing right now as a person every single year, every single 7 years, right? Cells are changing, your mindset is changing, you're going through all different stages in your life. I was acting differently when I was 19, probably you as well. It was so much easier to make all these moves without even thinking about it. But now, hey, I'm a dad. I'm a dad of two. I got to be thinking a little bit. If I make a mistake, it might affect my kids' entire lifestyle that we're running. So you become a bit more patient, you become smarter, you become more strategy oriented, and you're
Mhm.
thinking twice before you do anything. And you realize that you're not able to do it by yourself. It's all about the journey. It's all about surrounding yourself with experts who can really help you. Hey, look, I'm Serbian in South Africa. There's not many of us. Right? So I have to connect with South Africans. He got married, one of our African ladies here. So it was a bit of a journey of understanding patience is needed. You have to grow into it and strategically create these steps in the process that, hey, with the right strategic partners who understand who you are, where you want to go, you can get it there far. Alone, you can go fast, but
Mhm.
with great people around you, you can go far. And I would recommend anyone, take your time when needed, really do what you love to do, and eventually the path will reveal itself.
I'm assuming that you have always set goals for yourself and say, okay, I want to be able to achieve this. And one of the things about goal setting is they always tell you to put in a time frame, but sometimes you don't always know what's the right amount of time that it takes to achieve certain goals. How did you find that balance between goal setting and saying, okay, I'm going to achieve this by this time versus being patient with the process and saying, okay, I have this goal, but I don't necessarily have to have a time frame attached to it.
Until I realized that the real secret is in balance, right? So if I'm going to focus on that goal, I'm going to set the deadline, I'm going to outline everything. I'm very structured. I like to do that way. But then I have to solely focus on achieving that goal. Sometimes my family might suffer because I'm more of a fan of a quality time than quantity time. I'd rather spend that quality time with my kids
Yeah.
instead of just a little bit every day, so that we're not really making the best out of it. Set the goals, but then know exactly how to achieve them. Sometimes there's delays and some people will quit. I learned also that, again, with patience, you got to stay long enough on the pad and figure out, okay, if I want to achieve that goal, doesn't happen according to my plan, how do we make it happen? What's missing? It's never going to be a smooth ride. I built several businesses to 7 and 8 figures, but a lot of my businesses that not many people know have failed because I
Mhm.
was rushing left and right. Just doesn't happen. Would that be worth it? I'm not certain. My goals have changed. I want more. I want to go into different directions. Fine. But when you find that one thing, first one thing, and then eventually another one, you develop that one thing as much as you can. And then life will guide you in direction. Like before COVID, we used to do live events, for
Mhm.
instance, and it was doing good. Live events and master classes, everything in person. And then COVID happened. We're not allowed to do live events. So what do? We have to go online. Man, Well, we have to get people who knows. And then fortunately, some of my mentors, they knew all about online. They trained my team, and then we started doing online events. By being able to innovate, to stretch your mind, if this is not working, what do we do? Business is gone, or let's find what might be better for us. And then we were willing to innovate. And since then, we've been doing online events and the story and everything. So it's really is about goals are necessary. You need to have that mountain you're aiming for, but it's never ending story. You got to reach that mountain event. You want $1 million. If I was able to make 1 million, I can do two, then I can do four. So for me, I realized, I think lately, that the journey is the destination. It's never about that end goal, it's about who you become in the process. Because eventually you reach that goal and then look, I can do it again. I can do more. I can change more lives. I can train more people. And it's never ending story. And that's where that imbalance come in necessary. To become a millionaire takes a different personality. To become a billionaire now, I have to stretch in so many different ways. Is that what I really want?
Yeah.
And it's about the person and that journey of becoming.
It's always interesting to see different people's perspectives as far as the process that they have to go through and the mind development. Where do you feel like people should really sit down and analyze? Like you said, there's a lot of failures that happen to get to that point, and a lot of people don't realize that's what happening. So they think that, well, I'm failing. I failed at this. I failed at this. There's no way I'm going to be able to achieve success along those lines. Walt Disney fell. He filed bankruptcy 6 times before he finally started Walt Disney World. And so, what advice would you give people that are trying to make that decision? Should I just keep pushing through? Should I go ahead and try to see if I can get through this? Or when is a good time to be able to just say, you know what, this may not be the right direction, and shift gears?
You got to stay true to yourself, who you truly are, what you really want. Back in the days, all I wanted was just to have $1,000 a month in my convertible car, and I'll be happy as ever. But that was me. Somebody said, "Wow, I don't like convertibles. I like bikes." Okay, that was you. So why should I be judging you based on what you want? So I can share my success story, might resonate with someone, but put someone in my shoes, most people wouldn't make it to the same level where I am today, because maybe you were not being broke. Maybe you didn't have a dad who was pushing you. Maybe you're not a college dropout. And maybe you had better English than me. So I had to work twice as hard. So find out what you really want and who you really are. Right. And then when that is clear, then you become true to yourself. Maybe you don't like talking in public. I didn't like it. Now I love it because I had to grow myself into it. So when that is clear, success is only a guideline, that goal. That's
Yeah.
a success. You like the idea of making millions, but do you know what it takes? Sleepless nights, going through a divorce, being a single dad, all that stuff. Do you know what the price is? Is that what you want? Maybe not. But if you say, Milan, that's exactly what I want, then it's a path less traveled. It might give you what you want, but then again, once you reach it, you're going to have that big house. Then another question is, do I really want this big house? You drive that sports car, and then when they give you a bill for service, you're like, oh my, I didn't even know. When you clear really about that goal and what does it take to get there, then you ask yourself, am I willing to walk this path? It won't be easy, but will be rewarding. Is the money that you want? Is the happiness? Is the love? Is the kids? Right now, I know what I want, where I'm comfortable, but I grown myself into it. I become that person of never giving up, person of resilience, person of pushing through. But that's me. But if you ask me 20 years ago, that guy was introvert, didn't want to speak in public. I just needed $1,000 a month and I'll be happy. But that was me then. And all these moments, probably in 5 years when we talk about again, might be a different person. So it's all about at this point of time, who you are, what do you really want, and work towards that. And then 6 months later, 1 year later, you might change, and that's fine.
Yep.
Change, innovate, take a different path, but never stop moving. The movement is the key, really. You will grow into so many different directions. And it's the journey that you picked at some point, and then you've been doing it for a while, right?
Did you ever go through the mindset that you had to work through within yourself? People have this, what they call imposter syndrome. So they're like, I don't have the qualifications to do what I'm doing, or I don't have the right credentials to be chasing this career path or that career path. Did you ever have to go through that process with yourself over the imposter syndrome?
It never goes away, funny enough. It's
Yeah.
always there, Milan. You're not worthy. Listen to you say you have your funny accent. Yes, you wrote 9 books, but there's guys who wrote 20 books. There's guys who like here and there. There's always someone who's more successful than you, but
Mhm.
doesn't really matter. I look at the past 20 years ago and I'm proud of myself who I've become today. So yeah, I wrote 9 books. One of them was a bestseller endorsed by Tony Robbins. And when I talk to my people back home, wow, how did you do that? Comparing yourself only with yourself from yesterday, from a year ago, 15 years ago, and aiming for you becoming better version of yourself. It's not a competition. You will never be good enough when you compare with someone else. There's always Tony Robbins. There's always Les Brown. I'm not even aiming to be like them. But
Yeah.
let's see how far I can go to
Mhm.
stretch my mind, my personality, my business, right? Let's see. It's a never ending story. And that's the person you should be chasing. Imposter syndrome just remind you that there's some people who are better than you in some accolades, in some accomplishments, but doesn't
Mhm.
really matter. They might be better if you look at them, but hey, you know what? I'm perfectly fine
Mhm.
where I am, but I want to be better than I was yesterday. And that's how you eliminate that imposter syndrome. It's never going to be enough. Even one of my business partners said, Milan, I've done so much in development space, in property investment, $10 million investments there, they own it. But
Mhm.
not enough, Milan. I want 100. Yeah, but for tons of people here, you're like inspiration. You wrote a book and stuff like, yeah, but I can do more. Then do more.
Yeah.
But it's just you and yourself from yesterday. There's no other way. And when you put yourself into that perspective, you have no imposter syndrome. Just someone who says you're not worthy. Yeah, I am for the guy from yesterday. I'm going to be worthy tomorrow. I'm moving. I'm not
Mhm.
stopping. There's never going to be enough. You can have billions, right? Like Elon Musk and all these guys, Jeff Bezos. They still want more because it's not about money anymore. It's about the goals, about accomplishments.
Yeah. Because we were talking about imposter syndrome. Did you ever have a defining moment where you finally just said, you know what? I'm here. I've made it. Or do you feel like you don't ever really truly just make it?
I can tell you one crucial moment from the past, and that was I was always about some ideas. Hey, I want to make more money, and I was always finding ways. Hey, we can do this, and I'll be sharing this with my best friend, which I
Mhm.
found very smart at the time, and he is a very intelligent guy. And then I'll be sharing these ideas. We can do this, and there's always a big negative answer coming from him. There's always exists such thing. Who do you think you are? This guy's much smarter than you and wealthier. There's massive companies, and then I asked myself, but I'm asking the wrong person for
Mhm.
advice. Great friend, but he never had any business. And then I realized maybe I should ask people who actually have some experience in businesses. And that's where the big shift started happening. Instead of asking for people closest to you who are not necessarily successful, where do you want to be? Ask the ones who are there where you want to be. And then you will get the right advice. Then you get the right experience. If you're a millionaire and I'm not, what did you do? Let me see. Do I like
Mhm.
your path? Should I take your path? Because you're the right person, not my best friend who's broke like I was. So that was the shift when I realized the right people will give you the right answer.
Mhm.
Tons of people, the first thing they do, they ask their spouses, they ask their best friends, what do you think about it? Are they more successful than you? Not necessarily. So that was the shift of understanding that you do need to have a mentor, someone who's much smarter than you, who's
Mhm.
there where you want to be. And then you be the judge of that path and that journey. You never really arrive. It's always about arriving. Like you said, you never really, unless you say one day, hey, I want to build this company, $100 million, and sell it. And I'm just going to go and travel. And you can do that. But at some point, a
Mhm.
gentleman built a software, or was it the game that he sold for billions of dollars? And then he's got all the money. And all of a sudden, he lost all the passion about that journey of becoming that person.
Mhm.
And he even started some other games. I believe it was the game or something like that. He
Mhm.
was feeling so miserable and depressed because the passion, that journey that kept him alive was not there. And he fell into depression. So he's like, all the money I got is not enough because I really enjoyed the journey of building that game to become a multi-million dollar. You can get all the millions in the world. You go to the beach, you're going to get bored from that beach,
Yeah.
right? You want to do something meaningful, like what fulfills you. You want to have a balance. I can go and travel. I can build another business. I can go to the gym a little bit, spend some time with my kids. Now you
Yeah.
can do more things, more quality things, but is that really what you want to do?
Yeah.
For me, I think, like I mentioned, journey is about the destination. What else can I do? You build this company. I want to do another one. I want to speak more. I want to change more lives. I want to write another book because there's so much. You become so much in the process that Even I don't think I'll ever retire, because why would you retire? We talk about retirement, but why would I retire if my job, my business is fulfilling me? And like Tom Cruise, he says he's never gonna quit doing movies because he's got this job that is exciting. Why would I stop doing that unless I'm physically not able?
Yeah.
Once you find that, you don't want to retire, like Warren Buffett, right? Doing something we can't, because it's that journey. It's not about the money anymore. And I wish everybody to find that thing if you can, instead of settling
Mhm.
down less. That job, you retire, oh, I'm just gonna do nothing. You're gonna get bored. What's the life? What's the meaning then? You're retired, and then what? Then what? You're gonna go and travel around the world, cruises? You can't. It's who you're becoming, and then you become something greater with more potentials. Don't deprive the world of your message and abilities to change it.
How important do you think gratitude is in the process?
That's powerful. I think everybody's talking about it, and the more I realize, you got to be grateful for what you have, grateful for the journey, grateful for the pain, especially because without pain, you won't be who you are today, but also grateful for what you have today, because with what you have in today, you won't have more. So if you're always complaining and finding negative things in the journey and everything, then you're going to lose the sports car. Then,
Mhm.
then what's the point? I think everybody should stop at some point, be grateful for what they have. Might be a little, but you have, again, more than some people. Grateful for what you have, grateful for the journey and some dear people in your life, and
Mhm.
opportunity to see the path ahead. And then just starting the day with that note. I think all these great mentors I learned from Tony Robbins, Lisa Nichols, big part is gratitude,
Mhm.
gratitude, grateful for it so that I can have more. Bob Proctor was one of my mentors. With
Mhm.
thinking and then we becoming, gotta be grateful for what I have so I can have more. If I'm not, if I despise the money, like if I'm hating the process, then you're not gonna have it, but you want it. Like, how's that work? Gotta be
Mhm.
great. It's like just coming up. And
Yeah.
then if you Google it, it's a number of creativity and changes and taking the next level. And every time I see it, and I see it on the license plates of different cars, and somehow I spotted it. Number 22, 3, 4, 5 times a day. Like, all I say is, thank you for reminding me that I'm on the right path. That's my form of gratitude. Ideally, you want to wake up in the morning, do a bit of a meditation, really focus on what you have now. Dear people that you might be having that's still alive, your kids or parents, if you have them, right? And then move on. Gratitude is everything. Without gratitude, you won't be able to grow to the next level. Just not possible.
Yeah. And it's interesting because you alluded to this earlier, what you can get used to. Because people that don't have a lot, they look and say, man, they get to go hang out on the beach all the time. And it's interesting because on the flip side of that, they get to the point where they get bored with it. And for people that don't have that opportunity right now, or may end up never having that opportunity, it's hard for them to fathom that somebody could get used to that and actually get bored with it, and not want to do it anymore.
It's the habit, right? People get used to surviving. People get used to struggling. It becomes a habit. They learn to live with $10 a month, $100 a month, whatever. Becomes their habit, and that's their life. And all of a sudden, they're not moving because that's the comfort zone that they find themselves, and becomes a habit. Like, hey, I got this social welfare, and that's all I need. But I can get a job. I can actually work harder. Becomes too hard. Now I have to create a new habit. And if people focus on the mindset of, if I want to become better, I need to
Mhm.
create better habits. That's the challenge with most people.
Yeah.
Better habits mean you becoming better, you learning more skills, you become more resilient, you become stronger, more courageous. You're creating these habits. I go to the gym pretty much every day. I wake up in the morning, like, maybe I can stay in the bed. It's cold today, but you know what? I have to for myself, for my own health. And then you go and do it. And while you're at the gym, there's no way back. Let me just do it. And then you're appreciating yourself for pushing through. But now, subconsciously, you created a habit of every day going to the gym. Simple as that. Well,
Yeah.
if I push myself a little bit, let me learn about this new training about AI, about making money with this and that. Let me learn about podcasts, right? That's a new
Mhm.
skill. And then the more you do it, better you become, and becomes a habit. So there's no excuses. It's really is about you break down that pattern of, I'm comfortable, what do you
Mhm.
really want, and create a new habit of working towards that goal. Look, I didn't want to be a speaker, but I wanted it. That sounded like something when I want to go and push myself. And these are the steps. And Wanted to quit so many times, but I didn't. I'm here today. I didn't want to go back where I was. So that again, that strong reason why you need a change. If you're happy with struggling and surviving, then keep complaining, stop complaining and keep surviving. Then stop talking about, oh, this it's for everybody. I was broke, I was college dropout, couldn't even speak English, sleeping on my friend's couch. Doesn't really matter where you're coming from, it's where you're heading. And are
Yeah.
you willing to do something different to reach your goal? It's not for everyone. Not everybody is strong, but together we're stronger. I'll push
Mhm.
you a little bit like every mentor would, right? That's what we do. We
Yeah.
push you, we inspire you with our story. And then 30 days later, I push you every day. Now we created a habit. Let me push you more. Now you can do it yourself. Just the way life is. Yeah.
So when somebody's trying to make these changes, they may look at it from the standpoint of, man, I've got so many different things that I need to change, so many new habits that I need to create. How important is it to compartmentalize and just start changing habits gradually? Or is it a good idea to just say, okay, this is where I need to be and just start making those habits as a whole?
I'll say one at a time. One at a time. It's like same thing with one business at a time. The moment
Mhm.
you start doing like multiple businesses, your energy goes different directions. You end up doing nothing. So if I build one at a time, and when I say, okay, I build a habit about this one, let me do another one, then becomes a proper structured journey. There will be some setbacks, one step back, two step forward. So when one is done, then you do work on another one. Works for me and people that I train as well, because when we focus on the goal alone, if the goal is too big, people have tendency to quit because they don't see a clear path of achieving that goal. It's too big. Like I want to be a millionaire and I'm like broke, barely surviving. It's too big. But if
Mhm.
I say, if you do this tomorrow, if you learn this training tomorrow, there's a course, 5-day training that you can go through. You're gonna learn how to make $100 this month, and then like you can do something else. You can hire someone, and you can make 1,000.
Yeah.
When the steps are clear and smaller, all you have to do take one step at a time, right?
Yeah.
You take little steps, step at a time, but you move it. You're moving and eventually
Mhm.
get there. So same thing with your habits. It's about who do you want to become again, right? You want to become healthier, wealthier. Healthier, you have to start eliminating bread first, for instance, or sugar. It's not good for you, right? That one little change eventually creates a habit. You're going to lose some weight to become healthy. Then you go to the gym once a day, once a week, then 3 times. Small steps you gradually increase. And work for me. I love structure. Show me clear steps how to do something. I'll follow. I'll
Yeah.
follow because I train myself to stay on a path long enough. But let me try it. Most people just try and they quit because they don't have a habit of going through, pushing through, staying long enough on the path. You can have two people in the same room and give them the same, let's say, program, whatever that is, property investment, speaking. Follow this program in 90 days from now. You will be on the stage sharing your story or write a book. One will succeed, another one won't. They had the same opportunity. One was more motivated. They needed it more than other. The other one just didn't want it bad enough. And also, they don't have a habit of staying on the path.
Mm.
Their habit is most likely trying and quitting because maybe everybody around them just trying and quitting. But if you person you're learning from is a millionaire who says, no, you have to go through this, stay long enough, then I'm learning from the right person.
Yeah.
Here's where I want to be. It's
Mhm.
up to you who you want to become and who can really take you there. Alone is difficult. You can try, but finding someone and learning from someone as well and
Mhm.
having that community of support, which oftentimes is a part of either your people around you or people who are more successful than you in the form of a mentor, then eventually success will happen.
Did you ever find yourself in a position where you were working on different aspects of your life and who you are and somehow inadvertently started going in a direction that you're like, hey, this is really not who I want to be, and you ended up having to redirect? Did you go through that?
Yeah, it happens actually. I'm going to use the personal story. I went through a divorce, right? So that was about 5 years ago. And I was fine in the marriage. We were like married 10 years. We have 2 kids, still great friends, co-parenting now, I have business partners as well. But at some point, when it was time for a divorce, I realized, wow, I actually wasn't happy in this place. I
Mhm.
was complacent. I was just following my ex-wife, right? And because I'm a foreigner here in South Africa, and then I don't know anyone. So my mindset was I have to follow her so she can get me into those networks of people. And at some point, you become a shadow of that person. So when divorce happened, you feel a bit of a pain if you went through similar experience. Right? There's a pain of wasting time, pain of memories. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is if divorce never happened, I would never feel need to step up and do something by myself to become independent, to start my own business, which is Millionaire Speakers now, right? To realize who Milan really is. Milan is a great speaker. Can I train others? Yes. Oh, Milan wrote several books. Let me use that as a leverage, build a program around it and make it happen. So you see, one bad thing you might say, oh, divorce, that turned out to be the best thing ever happened to me because I still have a great friend. My kids never been happier. And I build all these different businesses through that difficult time of my life. So you have to evaluate your journey. And again, being true to yourself. Are you really happy where are you right now? Like, if your job is not making you happy, then why are you doing it? Maybe you don't have a choice, but learn about other options and you'll see so many choices out there to make. But again, do you have the courage for that change? Are you willing to step out of that misery? Or are you going to say, no, that's too big for me. Let me stay in this job for the rest of my life and moan and complain because I don't have what it takes. You have what it takes. You just don't want to do it. Maybe you need someone to push you. That's the thing. It's going to happen. Just what are we going to do then?
Did you ever go through times where you had that fear, you had to battle that internal fear of taking another step because it was going to be a risk or a calculated risk? Maybe it was a big risk, small risk. Did you get to go through that period where you had to kind of battle that internal fear to be able to take that step forward?
That fear never goes away, funny enough. It's you asking yourself, what do I do now, right? When I left my country, there was that fear. I'm leaving everything. I'm quitting this job. I was working in a shoe store, Italian shoes, 4.5 years. I have to do this because what choice do I have? I can go back and be miserable. So either you have a reason or excuse. Most people have excuses. Oh, it's too difficult. It's hard. What if this happens? So they ended up doing nothing. But my reason to change was stronger. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to get stuck. I don't want to be miserable. Let me try. And if I fail, I'm going to do it again and again. But that's my mindset, even till today. I'm going to go there and make it happen or else. Right. So fear is always there. What do we do now? Do you use your own money you have that you've been saving? What if all that fails? So you somehow train yourself to focus on the positive.
Yeah.
What if we succeed? Right. What if I fail? But what if I succeed? And then your mindset telling you if you succeed, you can be in so much better place. And that becomes overwhelming feeling of you don't even focus on failure anymore. So fear is good to remind you. That means that you're on the right path. So it's all about pushing through. You know that story about 3 steps from the goal? We've been digging and like, maybe this is not for me. I'm digging for nothing. But all of a sudden, without realizing, you're just 3 steps away.
Yeah.
And normally the success is literally ahead, not so far where you're right now. You just have to push a little bit more, no matter what. Then it will reveal yourself. As long as you're clear where you're heading. If it's not clear, then becomes a journey of why are you doing this for? I'm running this business. I'm passionate about it. I'm not getting clients. Then what's missing? You want to get more clients. Here's what you have to do. A lot of people don't know that means about the journey of running a business and becoming a better person, becoming a better dad or a friend. What's missing? And do I know what's missing? If not, let me ask someone who might know better than me.
Yeah, I was visiting with, have a group of interns that they're working towards their doctorate degree. And we were having a discussion the other day, and they're going through this period where they're having to learn how to change from being just a student that sits and listens and now actually have to be in the clinic and applying. And it's a complete shift for them. I told them, I said, you have reasons for success, but I said, you have excuses for failure. And I said, you need to live by reasons, not excuses.
Yeah, I've been broke several times, right? I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
My fear somehow embedded in my mind is fear of being broke again.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't want to go back again, but it's not the worst thing ever. I'll survive on bread and butter if I have to. But I want to teach my kids that they don't have to go through that, but they can also be smart in growing themselves and building a business. If I did martial arts in the past, I'm still doing it today. That helped me to build the discipline and resilience and commitment and respect to others. I want to train my kids to do the same thing because those are the values that I learned on the way. So you know from your own experience that you can also embed in someone else. Yeah. So it's really about that goal, who you want to become. And are you willing to stay long enough to become that person? Being a doctor takes a lot of years of studying, and eventually you become like, wow, this is so harder than I expected, but you love the journey. You become that doctor eventually, and then you're just doing it.
Yeah. And my wife says that if I could be a professional student, that I would, because
Yeah.
I just love learning. I love learning something new. And after I hit my 5th degree, my wife was like, no more degrees. We're done with school. You need to find a cheaper hobby.
A friend of mine said, one of my mentors says, you know what? The challenge with people who are curious, who always want to learn something new, is you never know when to stop. You become a jack of all trades, but eventually you become master in some. But it's good to know a lot about everything. You can have a conversation with people from Houston, Dallas, from New York, because you understand personalities and backgrounds. So,
Yeah. So I love throwing this question out because there's always such a variety of responses, and we're getting close to the end here. So I want to make sure I get this one. What do you feel was the most difficult decision that you had to make, whether it's a leader, a student, mentor, mentee? What was the most difficult decision you ever had to make?
I would say when I left my country, actually, 2005, August 12th, I remember like it was yesterday, standing there with my dad. My dad felt so emotional. Milan, people leave our country, they never come back. Are you going to come back? And he started getting all emotional. And then for a second, I felt maybe I should go back. I'm leaving my friends, my family, everything behind, everything that I knew. Because prior to that point, I never really traveled outside of my country. And funny enough, everything was trying to hold me back. Everything was a whole story for another day where couldn't even get a ticket on time and to pay for the agency, and everything was just holding, but I was pushing and I needed it. I needed it. And funny enough, the moment when the plane took off, I felt like all the doors were opening to me.
Yeah.
So it was worth it. But
Yeah.
I felt that maybe I should go back home because everything was in Milan. Like my country didn't want to let me go. You have roots here. This is where you belong. You got to go back. But no, I feel that I'm not meant for this. So that was probably the hardest decision. I can probably fail and I don't have anything. But you know what? Let me try. Let me see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That curiosity and that bravery, courage to let's see what's going to happen. But at least I learned something new and I can do it again if I fail this time. So I think that was the difficult part, leaving everything behind. But again, I didn't have much apart from my family. My family was with me all along, and it was a worthwhile journey.
That was where your comfort zone was. You knew everybody and everything around you, and having that courage to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to step outside of what is comfortable and learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, so to speak. And so that you can be able to take those steps. Sharing that looks like that was really the foundation of everything that you have achieved, is that ability to be able to step outside of what's comfortable to be able to push through.
Yeah, it's hard. You're like, okay, I'm becoming a different person, but this is all I know. But then you ask yourself, is this where I want to stay? Is this who I really am? No, I don't want to settle down anymore. But you got to be fed up at some point, really. Give people enough money, place to stay, right?
Yeah.
Woman that loves you. And what else do you need? A little bit of food, we fine. And
Yeah.
then they talk about things doing in life, but they don't need a change because they have enough.
Yeah.
The change happens when you're stuck somewhere, when you struggle, when you're so disturbed in your journey that, you know what, I don't like it. I've been coming, but I don't like it. I'm like, I'm broke. I don't like it. That means you get fed up with where you were. And
Yeah.
then that shift of, I got to do something or else. I don't want to say I wish everyone to go through struggle at some point, but what struggle did to me woke me up. If I didn't struggle, I won't feel need to do something about it. Struggle is necessary to remind you that you can do more, that if you stay in a comfort zone, even if I had that job for the rest of my life, which was fine, that wasn't where I wanted to be. Like, hey, there's so much more. And again, with us who love learning more, you get exposed to new things, to other stuff. And then all of a sudden, I can do that. Maybe that's what I want to do. Even when I go back home now, still some of my friends from high school, still in the same jobs. They don't even complain. They're making a little bit more than enough to survive, and they go travel once a year and they're fine. But I say, hey, my network business owners, millionaires, billionaires, we're like, you're exposed to different ways. And then the question is, maybe I can become like them. Maybe not, but
Yeah.
I can if I want to. Do I really want to? That's the question of who I really am. Where do I want to go? Do I want a private jet, or I'm happy where I am right now? But you're exposed and then you decide. It's not about, I don't have any choices. You have choices. You just don't want to learn about choices that you can move yourself from where are you right now to the next level. So it's not even about, oh, I'm not able to do it. It's about your surroundings is limiting you. people around you and what are you learning. If you only open to learning new things, you'll see there's
Mhm.
so much more out there. So anybody can become
Yeah.
whatever. Mm.
All right, we're coming close to our time here. So if you would tell everybody what it is that you have to offer and how to get a hold of you, and we'll close out from there.
That's what I do, right? I train politicians, executives, CEOs, entrepreneurs to connect with your story, turn it around, and really essentially build a business around it because your story could be a book. Your book could be a massive business. Your business could be coaching, could be mentorship. What if you can just become a bit more personal and more confident in sharing your story? Then people know who's behind your business. And then it's just not about, oh, another product or service. It's about, oh, wow, I love this story. I love this person. Let's connect more. So if you need any help with that, sharing your story, I'm also a brand manager for all our marketing manager for all our brands. So if you need any help in marketing, connecting with your story and essentially blueprints for 7 and 8 figure businesses, hit me up. Website is millionairespeakers.com. I'll be happy to listen to your story and let's see how far we can grow together. Yeah, definitely. So the website is millionairespeakers.com. You can
Mhm.
also Google it. And we have a massive following on the Facebook, Instagram. Also, my personal handle is Milan Milosevic Live. And also I have another one which is about acting. You can also find me there since that's also one of my other interests. So yeah, I'm pretty much everywhere. Most of the time, unless it's Sunday, that's my family day. But there's always room for helping others and helping them reaching the next level. And yeah, it's all about the journey, right?
Yep. Awesome. Thank you again for coming on the show and sharing. When I have people that have achieved all that you have, I'm always very grateful for the time that you spend, not only with me, but with our audience, and being able to share your experiences and hopefully giving them a picture of the gold shiny that you see on the outside wasn't always that. And it's always good to hear that other people have their journeys that they've had and their resilience that they've had to exercise to be able to overcome those obstacles.
Thanks so much, Dr. Davis, for having me. And it's truly a pleasure of sharing my story and looking forward to some more success stories and more episodes of your podcast. So let it grow and
Mhm.
let's keep inspiring people. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Thank you again. And for all those, thank you for tuning in. And until next time,
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Approach. Please hit that like button and subscribe for the latest episodes. If you would like to be a guest or would like for Dr. McAllister to speak at your business or event, you can email him at info@drdavismcallister.com.